Hey friends, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. I am Gina and I am here with you today to go over some installation information about the Diono Radian car seat line. So here I have a Radian 3RXT SafePlus. Quite a mouthful, but we're just going to go over some real basic things about the installation. And again, this is not meant to substitute for using your manual and reading the instructions clearly with your specific usage. So that being said, when you get it, this guy we're going to install backward facing. We're going to use the lower anchors. So if you see here on the vehicle, I'm just kind of pointing out where those are. So we're going to hook those up. We're not going to use the seatbelt to install this one. We'll tackle a seatbelt installation when we do a 3 across with this guy. But just for right now, I wanted to point out some of the pros and cons of it. So when you get it, it will come folded. I've unfolded it at this point, which isn't difficult, but I just wanted to take care of that one step. You'll then attach the anti-rebound bar. This is a really nice feature that they've started to include this with these seats. It used to be something that you would do with the backward facing tether, which sounds really convoluted, and it was. I promise this is better, despite the fact that it's taking me a few seconds to get it in here. There we go. So that's in. Makes a clear, distinct clicking sound. And then the removal for it, if you look on the side here, there are buttons that you'll engage when you want to remove the bar for going forward facing. So the other thing that we're going to need that the seat comes with is this little guy. This is a positioning wedge for a rear facing car seat. There's a couple of different car seats that utilize a piece like this. Sometimes people get a little nervous. What I always like to show is on the bottom of the seat, there's 4 holes. Here we've got 4 grooves. It's kind of like building a little puzzle. And again, gray buttons for when we're ready to remove it. But we do want it installed for rear facing. So now we're almost ready to rock and roll. The next part is we would have to put our latches in our lower anchor connection pieces in the correct spot. I don't want to use too many acronyms. The lower anchor attachments are going to be here in this back panel. And you're going to pull on these little red pieces to unlatch it. And then you'll undo the little path here. Now, what's nice about these latches is that it has clear indicators of which direction is upright. So when we hook these up, we don't want them going in upside down. No, we want to make sure that we're taking care of watching where that arrow is and utilizing that. So I'm going to hook up the first one. And I'm not sure if you heard it click, but removal will be pulling on the red tab. So that's pretty cool, easy. So that one hooked in, no problem. And now I'm going to make sure my belt is not twisted. I'm going to do what I always tell people to do. Cut yourself some slack. So give yourself a little slack by pressing on the gray component and pulling there. You're going to come through. Oops, let me move this over. Seat bolster is getting in my way. You're going to come through this little window down here, which is your lower belt path. We're just going to feed that through. Make it look so easy, right? It's helpful if you have small hands for this job, which I do. So that's going to come through, and as you can see, it came out the other side. I am going to attach the latch piece. Now, before people start to get upset with me and say, Gina, your car seat's touching the seat in front of it. It's not supposed to do that. You would be correct. There's a couple of things we could do about this, but something that I want to point out is that I have customers very frequently talk to me about wanting Diono because it is narrow. They're under the impression that it's a small car seat. It's quite long, nose to tail. So in a rear-facing mode, it takes up more space than most other car seats do. I could always recline this guy to give myself a little more space, but it's not going to do much. And to be honest, we get a better fit with this more upright. So we'll leave it just like that. So what we'll do is Diono's actually come out with an incredible piece called the angle adjuster. And it'll come in a package like that. And all it is it's an additional wedge to go under the back of the seat to position it more upright for children who have head and neck control. So basically most children over the age of 6 months would qualify for this. And again, this can only be used on Diono car seats. This is not a fix for all car seats. It's just something that they offer for their own seat, which is really cool. When this goes in correctly, we're gonna have space behind the seat and it'll sit it more upright. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this guy now properly by tightening the belt component. So that same part earlier when I was referring to giving us slack, I'm pulling on it right now. The camera guy could get a picture if he wanted, but I don't think it's that interesting. Now again, this is something I've done about 50,000 times, so I'm pretty good at doing it relatively quickly, but we could get a tighter installation. Now, if you want to come over here, you'll see we have full contact with the seat. It is definitely like pushed in pretty tightly. And then I'm going to take my non-dominant hand. So I am right-handed, which means I'm going to grab my left hand and I'm going to wiggle the seat from side to side and front to back with my non-dominant hand at its attachment point. And it's not moving more than 1 inch. So that's a way that we know it's a correct installation. This guy here can be open. I love to point out how generous of a seated space this seat is. It also has memory foam. I will criticize Diono for a lot, but I will say they do the best job with giving kids the most space in the seat. And they take up very little room side to side, only 17 inches. So that is pretty exciting. You do have the manual rethread harness, which I'm not crazy about, but easy enough to tighten and loosen the harness. You just want to make sure everything's clear from the path underneath it. And that's true of most manual harnesses. But you can see here the value of the angle adjuster is going to be that we have space. Now, the final thing I want to point out about Diono, the thing that sometimes people freak out about with this seat is actually what makes it great. It's very low profile, meaning the sidewalls here are significantly less pronounced than on other seats. Why is that a good thing? You still get excellent head protection up where it would matter around their head, but for taking a heavy baby in and out of this seat, it's one of the easiest because you have such a large window of opportunity. Meaning if we make this more pronounced, our window to take baby in and out shrinks and it becomes more annoying. So there's a lot of things that I'm not really keen about with this brand and this seat, but I will say they do a very nice job with certain aspects like the comfort level of the seat, extended rear facing, anti-rebound, the safety's really great. It's just a lot of manual adjustments, so you'd want to really be prepared for that, and it is a little bit more work to install, so you'd really want to be prepared for that as well. Now, again, the 3 across is going to be an entirely different story, so please feel free to watch that video when we post it, but we will highlight on some of the difficulties with installing this guy forward facing with a seatbelt, and just some, tips and tricks for it. Hopefully this has been useful for you. Again, this is not meant to be your manual. It's just to show you sort of how that would go down. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Please feel free to hit like and subscribe, and be sure to come and check out our next video. Thank you so much.